Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Brian's Logic, Paul, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, everyone. You'll have to excuse me, my voice is going. Sorry.
Oh, no. That's terrible. Terrible, Mike, and your voice is fading.
It's more my voice today. That's all it is. It'll come around when I talk a bit more.
We'll have to lean on the people of Discord server, so we're going to be leaning on you a little bit more for housekeeping today, if that's all good by you.
Sounds good.
Fair enough. Right, Apocryphon, at least I got one person's attention. Excellent. Any evidence? That's good enough. I'll get some answers, that's all I need. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon formerly known as Earth curve.
No.
According to Planet Peterson, we wouldn't have night or day without that sphere edge.
We wouldn't have night or day without the sphere edge. Yeah, he had a diagram of a depiction of a local sun. Now, I said at the time, it wouldn't be something I would be engaged in, that argument. I mean, if he put it to me as a straw man, I'd just point it out as a straw man. I'm not claiming that. But the guy who's defending that position, saying, look, the sun's like a torch. Okay, yeah, it's a bit ancient in terms of our argumentation, but fine, that's what he's put to him. And the guy's like, no, it would fill the whole Earth. Sunlight goes everywhere. Then he brings up a diagram showing a local sun moving around on an azimuthal plane, and he's not saying a word. It's like, there it is doing what the guy says it could do. Don't get me wrong, I would never, ever ascribe myself to that model, but the guy who's debating was, and there it is as he Google searches it on the fly. The horizon's not Earth curve. Any scientific
That was one of the best.
Go on.
Yeah, I just want to say that was one of the best shows in a while, the one that you did on Planet Peterson, because that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean? He's so confident in ignorance. He doesn't understand his own paradigm, even attack some other paradigm. He's horrendous.
Yeah, he also represents the projection that I receive for the claims that I get put to me that I'm muting my guests. You know, yesterday, for example, there were certain points in the discussion where Witsit is ignoring the point that's been made to him. I've actually trimmed it out as a video to make it nice and concise, where Witsit's saying you can't use the horizon to establish horizontal. You measure your plane out to the horizon and things of that nature. So that when it comes to the point, he says, oh yeah, I think it's a great argument. Right at the end, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying other people would put this position to you. It's like, no. Well, in a nicely, concisely edited together video, you'll hear him say quite specifically, in my opinion, you can't use it, it moves. Oh, really? When you use it to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Now, we didn't get, for your benefit, Brian, into the wrangle-dangle of dip correction. We mentioned it a few times, but ultimately speaking, their objection was to say that if you're on land and you're observing the horizon out at sea from the land, then it will move up and down with the weather. You're like, yeah, but when you're on a boat, you establish how high you are of the water, and then you set out on the water, which may be moving up and down, but your dip correction is going to remain the same with respect to how high you are above the water that you're on. And your horizon's represented with the water that you're on when you make that dip correction. And that's the tool that you've got, and the best thing you've got to offer you, something to establish a horizontal plane of reference to make measurements with, will be the horizon because that's precisely what's used. But the objection is, well, it moves. It's like, yeah, when you're looking on land, you're probably not going to be using a mariner's sextant, as was pointed out by Rakia Life. But again, he did disclaim that halfway through the conversation he had joined and therefore didn't appreciate that we're specifically detailing what you will use the horizon for. And in that instance, it's exampled with a mariner's sextant. So obviously you're not going to be using the best tool if you're on land doing what he does, building stuff. No, you might not want to use a mariner's sextant, but the clue is in the mariner bit when you're talking about what the horizon will be utilised for, in this case, establishing Earth as flat, measuring Earth flat. Objected to by Whitsitt because the horizon moves. It's like, yeah, well, observing it closer, this was went through 3 years ago by 10th Man. Hope he's out there listening. Hope you're well. It doesn't matter. If you've got a really foggy day and the horizon's right up close and you can't see hardly anywhere, you've still got a horizon, but it's just not got anything beyond it that you could see visually, right? You can still use that horizon to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Likewise, if the horizon's a black swan day, crystal clear, and you can see for miles, you still use the exact same horizon to establish horizontal. Doesn't make any difference. It's always going to establish a horizontal plane of reference. That's what it's used for. That's what the tool does. Doesn't matter if it's foggy and the horizon's closer, but they're like, it moves up and down. That's their argument.
That's a completely terrible argument, because the horizon, when you're out at sea, you don't notice any up or down to the sea level, because whatever tide is moving, especially if you're out off of Australia or somewhere where there's hardly any tidal change to really talk about in a lot of places south of the equator. Like it doesn't matter whether there's a small tidal change or a big tidal change, like off of the coast of Ireland, for instance. Once you're out to sea, if the water rises, then the boat rises with it. If the water drops, then the boat drops with it. Your height of eye stays exactly the same. So the correction never changes. I think a lot of people think that people use a sextant, they take an elevation angle, and then they measure the amount of dip. Because ballers have it in their head. I've had one of them only the past few days. They think you're measuring dip. You're not. The measurement happened at port. It's the height of eye. And it's a predetermined thing. So based off that height of eye, it's already calculated the amount of dip will be the amount that you will subtract from your angle. So
yeah,
if you do 200
I'll just give you
sightings-
some props because I was kicking myself. I listened. Obviously, I've been editing that video today, so I've been listening back to it. And you were sorely missed because there was that specific point did not make it in. So yeah, what Brian's just said, I don't know how clear it made out to the audience. I'm sorry, Brian, but I heard it, and I know what you're driving at as well. Brian and I go back historically with a major argument over this because it's a minor correction, which it is, but it is a correction that is absolutely required, and that's to say, as Brian just did, that at port you'll figure out how high you are, where you're going to measure from on the deck. So if you're going to be holding the sextant at X point, you go, right, let's figure out how high at this point we are above the deck. Because that is going to be calculated from that point forward for the entire journey as the dip correction for you specifically on that boat to make that measurement. And it'll never change. Now, as Brian's saying, well, they infer that there's an alteration that's going to be made along the way because of the globe Earth. No, it's one-time correction that you're going to calculate at the start of the journey based on your height above the deck, the water that you're going to be moving along, because that water is going to be used to reference the horizontal plane that you're traveling along when you look at the horizon, which represents the point that that deck that you are above meets the sky to your perception. Very useful as a tool to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Now, the nitty-gritty specifically of that dip correction did not come up. And if QE's listening, he put a note in one of the chat feeds. Why didn't you get anybody to define elevation angle? Well, at some stage,
why didn't he get here? Why wasn't he here?
Why wasn't he here? That's not.
Yeah, he started a big ruckus and then he was gone.
QE.
Correct.
He
QE.
had stuff to do.
Well, that's not fair. That's
This
fine.
takes precedence.
Nobody's. No. Absolutely not. Nobody is under any obligation to be here whatsoever. What are you talking about?
And one more quick thing.
Anyway,
one more quick
you
thing.
just completely segued from Brian's fantastic point, which didn't get through
Okay,
because
sorry.
he wasn't
Go
here.
ahead.
And I'm not as capable as he when it comes to dip correction. Now, I know I'm not as capable as he. Originally, I told him it wasn't important, and we had a blazing row for about 6 straight months over it, with me saying it's such a small correction, it doesn't matter. Just take the line that you take towards the horizon as being the horizontal that you need to establish without any correction. When you're above the flat Earth that it is that you are measuring, you're measuring the Earth. That's why my argument's so strong. And Brian's going blue in the face to make my argument stronger, to make it clear that what you're actually referencing is the flat Earth. What's the correction for? To get you to the flat Earth because you're above it. That's what one of the limitations is bestowed upon the mariner's sextant, unless you're in a rubber dinghy, which is a QE extension of that exact argument. But at the start of this process, I didn't know. I thought it wasn't that important. Brian knew it's the key to proving Earth itself is what's being measured as flat, and that correction is to the flat Earth that's being measured. It's critical. Now I can give him props now, but back in that debate, the specific notation that you're making one correction from port didn't make it in. It would have done if Brian was here. He's better than me, certainly at this dip correction specifically. And he's nagged me and gone, you've got to include this. And in that regard, hopefully when you listen back, Brian, you'll be proud because I do drop it in at every key moment that it needs to be dropped in.
Well, to just add to something about the dip correction and why I argued for it so much is that the horizon you're referencing, the correction you're making, if you look at the tables, that is not a globe's geometric horizon. You're not referencing a globe's geometric horizon. You're referencing an horizon that the correction matches that horizon is in a horizontal from the water underneath your boat. So that's the point. The correction you're making, it doesn't matter if you bring up the line, let's just say, like, they'll correct the line up mathematically to the eye line. But it doesn't. But this is the thing, and a lot of people don't realize this. For accuracy, the site reduction tables place the vertex not at the eye line, but at the sea level. That means your elevation angle, the adjacent of your elevation angle, is sea level. And when you want to get accuracy, you go to the site reduction tables, and that gives you accuracy. So if you say, I have this angle to this celestial body at this time from, I presume, this position, and the site reduction tables will say, no, it's actually, your actual position is actually here, because the site reduction tables is a database built up over a lot of time. So for the best accuracy, is when the vertex of the angle and the adjacent of the angle is at sea level for best accuracy. So it means you're measuring the sea level as a horizontal for hundreds and thousands of miles. You know, there's no way around it. The main thing is that you're not referencing a globe's horizon. That's not what you're referencing. And that's what they hate about this, because they can't argue that point. And that's why I argued for it so strongly. And another thing, just to add on to that, as you just brought up earlier, Nathan, when you were saying that the horizon could be right in front of you if it's a really bad weather day, the horizon could be right in front of you, or it could be like a black swan day where it's really clear and you can see the horizon miles and miles and miles away. Now, you don't know how far away the horizon is for either one, so you can't use a distance to the horizon. But they need to use a distance to the horizon. They need to state that because they're at this point, that means the horizon is this far away, their globe's horizon, and then they need to add a load of over 6R to make the horizon come up to match a horizontal plane.
Okay,
that's how ridiculous it is.
There's some background rumblings. I can't believe I'm dealing with this on a live show. We are well aware that Brian's mic, the Discord doesn't like Brian's mic. It just cuts off half of what he says. We're well aware of that. So I can only apologise to those of you in Discord. He is coming through clearly to the audience. He will be coming through clearly to YouTube and Rumble. He's just not clear to Discord. And after 2 hours of faffing with it yesterday, it hasn't made any difference. No matter what button I pressed, no matter what toggle I switched, no matter what line I increased or decreased, nothing fixed Brian's crappy mic and made it so that Discord could hear it. Sorry.
Nathan, it's probably because there's just more crumbs have gotten into the mic since then.
Oh, hold on. I've been waiting in the wings here. I also listened back to the show, Nathan. Number one, when are people going to hold Whitsitt to task? He waits till the end when he's proven wrong, and instead of being humble, he says, that's what I was saying all along. I caught him 3 times yesterday.
Yeah, I've just literally rendered that. I spent 2 or 3 hours editing it this morning. So the start of the video, again, I've done the same trick as I did last time. I did a fairly lengthy edited video, and rather than just chunking out the 45-minute section, I've gone to the extent of putting the effort in to make the middle be the beginning. As stupid as that sounds, it worked last time. People actually loved it. I thought, what a stupid idea. Do you remember me mentioning it, going, I'm going to put out a video. It makes no editorial sense to me, but that's how apparently people like to consume videos. So I did it, and everybody liked the format. Everybody. So I'm like, okay, well, that obviously works. It got more views. So I'll do that again. So I've chunked out Witsit, starting by saying, unequivocally, in my opinion, you cannot prove the Earth is flat with the horizon. Now, he doesn't say it in that exact way. He's got a few caveats and weasel words in there. But it's clear that it's his opinion and that Earth won't be just proven flat with the horizon. That's his opinion. Now, as the conversation progresses, as just pointed out by Neil, he's like, yeah, I think it's a great argument. And I wasn't arguing with you that it wasn't a good argument. I was just saying that other people will have this objection. So I've taken all of that as a combined group of stuff and put it together so that Witsit starts by telling me you can't use the horizon to prove Earth's being measured flat, precisely what it's being used for. And then me detailing how you can use the horizon to measure flat. That's what it's being used for when you point your sextant at it for us and the globers. It's just not a geometric globe horizon that they're establishing a flat plane with when we measure Earth flat with the horizon that you say we can't. Then it becomes someone else's argument that third parties he's representing, as he seems to do. So later he can say I'm strawmanning him when he puts forth that argument on behalf of someone else. But in this case, he hadn't, because it was his opinion that it expressly stated horizon won't be proving Earth's flat. It's the extension beyond that when you make a plane to the horizon. He just doesn't understand how any of it works. And his Dunning-Kruger's led him to disagree with us and tell us, no, in my opinion, horizon won't prove flat Earth measurement. Yeah, it does. And when you're proven wrong, it's suddenly a good argument. So right at the end, it's me saying, yeah, great idea, Witsit, going forth and telling people how Earth's measured flat. It's basically your idea, isn't it? So that's all been chunked together.
That was good how you did that.
I noticed one of his little tricks. I don't know if he's aware of it or not, but is a quick subject change to another subject change, and then he'll reverse his position on the original topic every time.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, like I just illustrated him doing. His position was, can't get a flat Earth proof out of the horizon, it moves. Okay, so your position is, in your opinion, horizon not proving flat Earth, only the line that's extended when you establish a flat baseline that is Earth with the horizon. The extension beyond that flat Earth establishment with a measurement of the horizon with Earth being flat that you say it can't be proving. That extension proves Earth's flat, according to Witsit at the beginning of the discussion. Then it transitions to, no, I'm not saying that, even though he specifically made it clear it was his opinion. His opinion. It's the people he's representing. Then later it's a great argument that he will go forth with after I make it explicitly clear that Earth's measured flat and the horizon's proving it. Suddenly it's a great idea.
His opinion. It's his opinion that it was their opinion, right? So it's just really, really, really convoluted very easily to get it wrong because it's fundamentally pointless what he's doing at the offset.
Let's not focus on how Witsit got it right or wrong. At the end, I got allegiance out of him. He's conceding it's a great idea to go forth on the front foot and say Earth's measured flat. And then he gave a further example. Well, when they, the geodesic surveyors, again, kind of not quite online with what I'm trying to say moving forward into 2024 to start on the front foot and not incorporate a globe undoing in your argument, first and foremost. But he did. He's like, when the geodesic surveyors for a globe measure Earth flat, then they're just measuring it flat, and then after the fact saying that they've measured it at globe shaped. You know, they're not. And it's like, yeah, well, now you're singing from my hymn sheet, because now you're at least starting to realise that you can start with the premise that they also must accept. They also measure it flat. That's always going to be the case for every globe example ever. So if that's the case, and it is, then you as a flat earther don't need any globe, because you will be in agreement, won't you, with the glober if they do come to object to your statement of fact when Earth's being measured flat, because they'll also be measuring it in the same way. They must. Earth is flat. The globe extrapolation came from those measurements. So from that point, the globe debunking bit is redundant. I'm measuring it flat, and that's what I'll tell you I'm doing, because that is what is done. Or say you think it's a globe. Well, let's hear how you think that's the case, and I'll take that example and show you how Earth's measured flat with it. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline or a single point claimed to be tangency?
Well, in that discussion yesterday, we were told that you could get an angle from the surface of any object.
No, not exactly. That was genuinely Whitsitt putting across the objection. He's saying, I don't think it's a strong argument because I get an objection. The objection is, I can get an angle from a curve. My fury is to say, no, that's a stupid objection. A single point won't give you an angle. To claim that you've got dingleberry dangling beneath a flat plane that you're actually measuring and you'll call that a tangent to your globe Earth is not a rebuttal. You've only got a single point on the ground if you're claiming tangency. Well, you're measuring a flat baseline on the ground. Well, it isn't that if you describe it as a tangent, therefore it's not a rebuttal. Therefore, it's absolutely surplus to requirements to bring it up in juxtaposition, as Whitsitt and everybody else up until 2024 has been doing. This is how the globe doesn't work. That's starting from a premise that your opponent is going to be pissed off with. Well, I don't get it. I'm wrong. I've been deceived. I don't like that. You really want to start your opponent's cognition train going on the premise that they've been deceived and they're wrong when you know it'll piss them off? Get agreement. Start with your positive affirmation with a fact that it's measured flat. And nothing else. Don't tell them how they're wrong. They'll be agreeing with you eventually if they do disagree with you. And yeah, you might need a good knowledge of how the globe gets debunked to do that. But you start on the front foot. Earth is measured flat, that's a fact. Whitsitt didn't know that. Hence he's telling me how I don't think the horizon, utilised to establish a horizontal plane of reference, is good for proving Earth is a horizontal plane, when that's precisely what it's used for. Well, we need more confidence in what proves Earth's measured flat. Whitsitt didn't have it, and now he does. Good for him. I've got allegiance from him, so let's not focus on how he did genuinely postulate an objection from people who say you can get a tangent to give you an angle. No, he did genuinely put that forth on behalf, and I had to apologise him at the end. I'm like, yeah, okay, at one stage you did say this is you putting the devil's advocate position across. Fine. So for me to narc at him that it's not reasonable to juxtapose
Yeah,
it,
you're wrong about that.
just let me get to the end, Neil.
You are wrong.
No. When he juxtaposed it, my objection is its juxtaposition with the globe argument against the flat Earth measurement. He took it as me saying, I'm objecting to your position that you're saying you can get an angle from a single point, when in reality he's postulating our opponent's position in that regard. As I say, I apologise, rightfully so, because I misinterpreted it as him saying that is a reasonable reason to use this in juxtaposition. We were at cross purposes. I'm objecting to him juxtaposing globe with flat Earth when you only need to point out it's measured flat, because that's the fact of the matter. No globe necessary. He's saying, but the objection from the globe is, like, oh. And when he tells me the objection from the globe that a tangent point is a straight line baseline with a GP at the bottom of it as a globe would present, I'm not objecting because of the obviously that's wrong bit that he's like, I know that's wrong too, I'm putting their position. Yeah, we're in agreement in that regard. But why are we juxtaposing it? There's no globe here put in that argument. You're bringing it up to juxtapose it. We should stop doing that in 2024. That's quite complicated to get through in the middle of an argument where Whitsitt thinks I'm bracing against him, telling me you can get an angle from a point of tangency. He knows you can't, I know you can't. But why are we arguing about it is the overarching point, when we could just point out it's measured flat. Done.
Because he stated it is stupid to say you can't get an angle from a curved surface.
Correct.
He specifically said that.
Yeah, but
He said they say that.
From-
He said they
from-
say that, but he went on to point out that when you come to actually practically apply that in reality, it's not accurate. Now, don't get me wrong, he's paralleling that by saying, well, I as a flat earther will also not be able to use the horizon because it isn't accurate. No, that won't parallel, although he tried to. But in that specific regard, he's saying that's what the people of the globe faith say. The parallel's wrong because he's also saying, I parallel where they're wrong with how they can't get a geometric horizon to give them a horizontal plane of reference, neither can we. That's where he's wrong. When in his opinion, the horizon's not going to be usable because it moves to give you a horizontal plane of reference, when, as I say, that's precisely what it's used for. And at the end of the discussion, he conceded what a great argument it was.
Right,
Well-
but that is, you're talking about something else. He said it was stupid to say you couldn't get an angle measurement from any object.
No, he said that.
Correct.
No, he
Yeah,
said that.
he did say
no,
that.
he said that that's the position people would take. He prefaced it before he said that. So he's put himself into the devil's advocate position and then stated it with his own tongue. So it sounds like he's putting it across. I also mistook that for him saying it, when all I care about is the fact that globes being juxtaposed at all.
No, you're talking about the argument that he's making about the extension of the line past the horizon is impossible and that their argument is void. But that's different from what I'm talking about.
Well, just to add something there, with it bringing up the tangent plane that the borders will bring up, what a lot of people aren't spotting about that is that if they're bringing up a tangent plane to get their angle, right, and they're trying to claim that it's a horizontal. Now, besides the fact that they can't have horizontals or verticals, right, for this, we just go along with it for a second. Excuse me. If they're using a tangent plane, then where are they taking their dip from? Where's the angle go to? Their angle line. Because that tangent plane has to stretch all the way to the horizon within their paradigm. It has to stretch to the horizon within their paradigm. Because the horizon that's referenced, the dip that's referenced in the almanac is not referencing a globe's geometric edge. So that means their dip involves a horizontal. When they claim a tangent plane, what they're actually saying, it may not be the strongest argument, but what they're actually saying is, we use a horizontal.
Yeah. That's what I tried to get across to the panel yesterday. The guy's asking me, what's the difference when a glober points a sextant at the horizon versus a flat earther? And I'm saying there's no difference because both must acquire a horizontal plane of reference to get the angle. On screen now, you've got the celestial navigation method of figuring out your position by measuring the stars in the sky. You note your time, you measure the angle. That's a guy on a boat with a sextant measuring 3 positions in the sky. What's the difference between a glober on that boat looking at the horizon and establishing horizontal with it to get this line along the base for all of the stars? All of them are horizontal, all of them match, all of them form areas of equal elevation that are all horizontal. Well, does a glober do anything different when he picks up a sextant and points it at the horizon and establishes a line for an angle? No. That we do it, they do it, that's how celestial navigation's done. What's that? Well, where's the difference? They keep asking. Well, the difference is this horizon that the guy on this boat points his sextant at to establish a horizontal plane of reference isn't a geometric globe earth edge falling away from you, or it wouldn't give you a horizontal for it to be an angle. So what's the difference when they both look at the sextant's horizon mirror? Well, the difference is that it's a horizontal plane of reference that's being established always. That's what an angle is. That's what it needs. That's what you're navigating. It's the ground. We're measuring it flat. That's what this tool's for. That's what the horizon's doing. It's not a globe horizon. It's proving Earth's being measured flat for both globe earthers and flat earthers. The difference is they lie to themselves because they think that this line's bending. It isn't, or it wouldn't be an angle. So they're idiots, the globers, because it fails on its arse immediately because it won't give them an angle. If they're looking at a horizon that they think represents the curve of the Earth bending away from them, it certainly won't establish a horizontal plane of reference. Hence we ask Rufy, how's that geometric horizon working out for you, Rufy? Because he and we will look at the horizon and establish Earth as flat. You must to get an angle. There is no way around this. Earth is measured flat.
Well, one thing's for sure, we're all alone.
Good morning, guys.
I don't know.
Hello.
I thought that Jeremy guy with the rise over run understood it. He was just having trouble because he got mixed up with the theodolite. And that's easy to do if you don't understand shoaling effects and things like that.
So did
But
Rakia.
he seemed,
Sorry, go on.
But yeah, there was several people there that seemed to get how important this argument was, and or well, not argument, just this mental position to take that it's flat because you measure it that way.
Yeah,
Um,
I had a few of them at the end of I thought yesterday was extremely successful because it's all well and good expanding out the audience, asking people to share. We might get more people viewing it from an outside perspective. Inside Earth Awakenings is us. Our peers are there, and having our peers understand this argument, maybe my grandiose ideas of putting this out to people like Dave Weiss in the first instance was just too ambitious. Why? There's fellow peers debating about it, actually debating about it in these servers. And we can go in and say, up until now, we've all argued about how Earth isn't a globe. Well, we need to change our tune. We need to start telling people Earth's measured flat. That should be our opener in every instance. And I don't want to hear, for anybody who's listening to this, other people live on a globe and will tell you, yeah, they will. And if you want to debate that person, you better learn how to debate them here, with the very best arguments you can possibly acquire. But if you just want to know Earth's flat, which I didn't get from any of the shows that I arrived at, all of them labelled Flat Earth in the titles, did any of them prove to me straight off the cuff that Earth's measured flat, like I just did with those three angles that are on screen? This now being a representation of a line of position along a flat baseline. Did I get that from the first, second, third, 300th, 1000th show that I watched labelled Flat Earth? No, I did not. I was still getting more and more angry as I failed to prove with a silver bullet that Earth was measured flat when asked. So I had to debate about things I understood about how the globe didn't work for years and years on end. Now we don't need to do that anymore. It's 2024. What we need to do is understand that Earth is flat, and that should be our starting point. Not understand how the globe doesn't work when they point a sextant at the horizon and it's not Earth curve. Why are we mentioning it? All we're doing is measuring Earth flat, state it as fact, and get on with your day. Now, should a globe cleaver come to Flat Earth debate and tell us that's not the case, we'll have them make their claim, and we'll point out how Earth is measured flat. Because it is. Now, they might tell us, yeah, I understand it's measured flat, but it's so big. Yeah, on you go with your religious belief. We've all agreed Earth's being measured flat because it is measured flat for you and me, even though you've got a belief that that's just because it's so big that it's flat, even though that's utterly absurd. You can go on with your belief, but we both agree and both understand that it's measured flat. You just think so biggy it's flatty. I just know it's measured flat, and you also know it's measured flat. So we're all in agreement. No need to debunk any globe assertions that so biggy is flatty is anything other than it being measured flat, because it is, and you agree. Good. That's how we should move forward. Not, oh, by the way, the horizon's not Earth curve, because if it was Earth curve, it wouldn't do X, Y, and Z. Well, that was all well and good in 2023, but 4 years of the Black Swan later, you all know the Black Swan. One last thing that didn't get discussed yesterday with Whitsitt. He asserted that an unfair comparison was made when I say you don't go back knocking on the doors of Scientology if you've left the cult. You don't go back learning advanced Scientology like Xenu, which the lower echelons of Scientologists do not get privy to. So what, when you leave the cult, you need to learn more about Xenu and Thetans, like OT4 level, because you weren't at that, to get away from the cult, because should some of your family members be in that cult, they might tell you that the only reason you're leaving is because you don't understand it, therefore you need to learn more. No, by comparison, that's dealing with fundamentalist religious zealots. In a reality that we currently inhabit 10 years after we've stepped into this subject, there are people who've grown up in a world that haven't been indoctrinated into the globe, as Whitsitt asserted. Now, 10 years ago, that might have been true, Whitsitt, but 2 of them are making a right racket outside my door right now. They haven't grown up in a world where they believe that the world's a spinning ball. They haven't grown up with that fundamentalist religious belief being indoctrinated into them. And there's a whole generation of people making up the numbers currently, the youth, that potentially are in the same boat as my kids. They haven't been brought up with a fundamentalist religious belief that needs undoing at the first opportunity by someone claiming to prove that we're on a flat plane. Just prove we're on a flat plane. if that's what you claim. And tell me how it's not a sphere. I don't need to go through the rigmarole of undoing a religious belief that a good chunk of people now, especially when there's a couple sat out my door, have not grown up believing in. Not anymore. That's not the case in 2024. Right, I am done now.
Yeah, but Nathan, Witzik can never lead with that. I'm going to tell you why. Because he still has this ether to push, so he's never going to go front foot first with Earth is measured flat. That's the bottom line.
I can tell you why, too. Because measurement is the beginning and end of what is in the physical world.
Yep.
Measurement. If I measure a 2x4, right, to be 12 inches long, is anyone going to tell me that 2x4 is a ball?
It's absurd.
That's right. It's absurd.
So therefore, should I spend quite a significant time describing the 2x4 as not a ball and how it couldn't be a ball?
Or should you have to worry about people that are going to come up to you and claim it's a ball? No.
And if they
Just
do,
measured it.
if they do, as you were just about to say, sorry, I cut you off. We measure it flat, the 2x4 and Earth. Here's an example. What's that? You say so biggy, it's flatty. So measured flat then. Yeah, well, okay, off you go with your globe belief. I'm not interested in that. You don't need to convert me. And I'm certainly not going to proactively start describing your religion and how it don't work. Not interested, I'm afraid. Yeah, I may have been interested for 9 years of this subject matter. Not anymore. I've got the best brains in the subject debunking the globe and have been for years. Go and look at Black Swan. You want to see how the globe gets ripped apart? It's dead. Maybe not for the zealots, but is that my primary concern? I don't care about the zealots. They're zealots. Likewise, if I'm going to try and appeal to a Scientologist in good standing that they're not supposed to believe in Xenu, do you think I'm going to be successful? No, they're concerned about their Scientology in good standing, as opposed to whether or not I can prove Xenu doesn't work for whatever logical consistency argument I can present to the die-hard Scientologist. No, I don't need to do that. On the contrary, when I describe how volcanoes work, even if it's to a Scientologist, I'll just describe how a volcano works. And then that'll be it. That'll be the end of it. I don't need to describe how it doesn't have thetans in it just because I'm talking to a zealot. Now, if the zealot then says, oh, no, it does have thetans in it, that's a different matter, isn't it? I haven't taken the step forward into debunking, by comparison, obviously, to heliocentrism, Xenu and Scientology, when I only have a necessity to describe how a volcano works. Yeah, I don't need, because I am now a volcanologist or a person who investigates how volcanoes behave, I don't need, as a person in that primary field research, to tell you how it doesn't work in Scientology just because I used to be a Scientologist. And there might be Scientologists who have an objection. Yeah, there might be. Doesn't change how a volcano works, and it doesn't change how Earth is measured flat. For everybody.
Imagine being a Glober in 2024 and your argument is really the Earth is curved, but it's just so big that you can't see it or measure it.
Pathetic, right?
Imagine.
Not only that, you had a lot of issues yesterday. You had people arguing over the fact that freaking is a downward bias. Oh, my goodness. My head was spinning. And I went back and I listened and I got pissed off all over again.
Did you see the point where I was hovering over the eject button for you?
No, but I heard what you said.
Yeah, there was a point where I literally went into the Hangout, went onto your icon, and I'm like, shall I remove him? And then I said, this is your last chance, Neil.
Well, I removed myself 3 times. I did. I left 3 times.
That's the right attitude. You learn that from Arwin, and it's the right attitude. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. You know, that's the best thing to do.
Not that I can't stand the heat. I just felt like they were coming at you from all angles, holding you to task about stuff from 10 years ago. I didn't think a few of them were genuine. And it would have went a lot better if that guy Merle wasn't there. That was a joke.
Oh, no. I highly valued the bit with Merle. What Merle's converted back to the globe, as I understand it. Well,
Well,
yeah. Did you not hear his tone shift? Because he went from being disclaimed by Stacey as an ex-flat earther, now on the Glober, trolling Discord, that sort of thing, to him stressing to me the importance of this. There's 8 billion people been deceived, Nathan. You've got to get this. You've got to understand the importance of this. You've got a lot of responsibility. That was his attitude at the end. You haven't listened to the bit with Merle. It's epic.
Yeah, and if you can't tell him exactly what the Earth is, that and all the 8 million people or 8 billion people in the world, then everything you've done all these years means nothing.
yeah,
that was
Witsit
his
said the same.
conclusion.
Yeah, but again,
Sorry.
very useful.
Witsit
Very,
said the same thing too. He said there's 8 million people that believe the Earth is a sphere. You may think it's a joke, but this is something like to that effect.
yeah, he implied that we
Is that
just
it?
treat it as a game. Whatever.
How is that even a response? Like, no shit. There's 8 billion people in the world. Okay, according to you, sure. Okay, and
Well, he's stressing the
like, what-
importance of people knowing that they've been deceived in the case of Merle. Forget about the general appeal to consensus when it comes to our opponents. I'm talking about a generalised attitude that we as flat earthers should take. If our general attitude is we prove Earth's measured flat, that's our starting point. That permeates through the audience when they hear the evidence of how that is the case. As opposed to, Earth is not a sphere. Here's how you have been deceived. What's that? You don't like that? Like any normal rational person doesn't like to be told that they're wrong. Well, you just don't have an open enough mind. Yeah, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to start just proving it's measured flat, because then someone comes along and goes, "Oh, right, it's measured flat then." That's far more effective. It seems so obvious now I'm saying it, but there's a reason everyone within 4 days has got right behind me. And my wife's even coming in going, wow, a lot of people are getting encouraged by this. A lot of people are really responding to this. What you're actually doing is telling flat earthers to tell people it's measured flat. That seems so obvious. Yeah, it does, doesn't it, Paula? Seems really obvious that we as flat earthers should tell people that Earth's flat. But that is actually the message. Doesn't it seem stupid now I'm pointing it out to you? If you're listening to this going, well, I do that when I tell someone that you can't have a globe because of X, Y, and Z. No, you don't. You're an anti-flat. You're an anti-glober. That's what you actually are. If you want to claim yourself a flat earther, go to the extent of proving Earth's flat immediately. Back up your title.
Well, the funny
It's like
thing
they haven't
is,
progressed, John. That's what it is. And I was hoping you got in there and told them how you were directly converted because of measurements.
John,
Yes.
can you? Well, I nipped to the loo. Can you regale us with that story, John?
yeah, sure. I've always understood that measurement, right? That measurement dictates reality, or the physical world, right? If you don't have measurement, you don't have anything. And I was raised under the belief that I was actually measuring curvature with the dip angle, right? So when the geometric horizon Earth curve was debunked, I didn't have a measurement anymore. So all there was what I observed. And that everybody observes it's flat.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't revert back to. No, we never claimed there's a geometric horizon.
Well, that's zealotry. That's the only way, like y'all just say, that's just zealotry. Because
Yeah, but that's that fork in the road, right? Like you took one way, and the other guys took another way. They took the way of look, bendy cranes and refraction, and we never claimed the geometric horizon. And look, there's 7 horizons and all the other crap they've told us all these years, right? You were just like, oh shit, look, that's not what I thought it was. Okay,
Just the other thing.
Well, I never understood.
Just one more thing, just to address Neil, because he said that Merle wasn't particularly useful. He was incredibly useful, and the other thing he was useful for was his objection, based on a heliocentric idea that you can have a universe that's beyond the ball. And with that example, I was able to take him to a place that I've used Dave Weiss typically up until now for the example that's been badly portrayed by Dave Weiss, as in the aliens beyond the ice wall, as opposed to the ground that we can show has been mapped and charted flat, and how we didn't have new worlds and now we do. And that is the literal expansion of the territory that we know. That could be described as our known universe, because beyond that, we don't have charted territory. Therefore, the charted territory we know, our known universe, is what we have. That is what it is. So when he says, well, we don't know what's beyond that, it's like, well, you're only conceptualizing it beyond that because of a heliocentric world with a sky vacuum and vast light years of distance between these planets that are also soil. So that's an idea that has only come from that Merle objected to when he asked us to tell us what's beyond, what's out there. It's like, well, I can only show you the progression through history of how we have found new worlds in outer space. And for anybody who's new listening, outer space being the area beyond the horizon prior to the globe locking everything down. New worlds were found in outer space, and that was us charting new territories beyond the horizon that we hadn't been to before. We called them new worlds. That is how it is. That's easy to show through history. Some of the people listening are listening on those new worlds. So that is fact that people can get behind and understand without any speculation. If you want to go into aliens, you have to contextualize it as people coming from the new worlds to your home country and you describing them as aliens, because that's what we did have and still do. It's not far enough back in history that they duped us into being on a ball to lock down the entire world and stop the expansion that is detailed in that description. Not speculation about the bloody ice wall and what might be the aliens beyond that, because that's just a red herring. Stick to what we know and can show the expansion of our known universe. Show how we explored outer space and show how we did find new worlds. You're living on one of them. So that came from Merle to Neil. So several things that were useful for his objectionable position. Very useful. Same for the guy who was a Bev Earther.
Just found it
very
nonsensical.
useful. Go on, sorry, I'm done.
Nah, I just
Sounds
found it
like-
nonsensical. Sorry.
Sounds
What
like you had
period?
many adventures. Sorry, Chocolate. Sounds like you've had many adventures into the land of misfit toys.
Yeah, set us
The
up
land
there
of
and
misfit
then leave.
toys. Right. What now? You can
Good,
explain that.
General.
What's that mean then?
The land of misfit toys. That's what the Jane Fonda server is. All the misfit toys are there.
Wasn't just me.
The general let us in and abandoned us.
I think. What the heck are you talking about?
The general let us in and then left to go fix his bow.
Yeah, and that's a good rendition of history. Thank you. All right, can we move on from that?
We can, yeah. There's absolutely no obligation for you to be here, or you, Neil, or anybody. None of the panel or Discord server are under any obligation whatsoever.
And
No,
fix it. I did. Just in case you wanted to know,
What, you fixed your bow?
I did.
What was wrong with it?
Had a hairline fracture in one of the limbs, so I had to start all over with new limbs and then start the whole process all over again. So,
What a bummer.
yeah, it's fun to do it. I enjoy doing it.
Did we have
So, can we move on from that?
Well, I was going to say, did we have a video that
Reminds me of Trigger's broom.
Want to get coming in? Was that Paul?
Reminds me of Trigger's broom, you know, on Only Fools and Horses. He's had the broom for years. He's only changed the handle and head a few times.
That actually spans from some really old Greek philosophy. Did you know that?
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
There's an idea, a notion that if you take an old warship and over time entropic effects would mean that you would have to replace parts of the ship. So as time progresses, more and more bits of the ship get taken off. Now, if you imagine, obviously in reality, you're just going to discard those bits, but if you took each of the bits off as they wore, and then recreated the original ship with the original parts, is it the original ship? Because the original ship is the one with all the men on that's been maintained over time, even though it's strictly speaking Trigger's broom and every bit of it's been replaced. So it's a philosophical concept to understand the notion.
The boat of Theseus.
So let's go ahead, John.
The boat of Theseus.
Boat of Theseus. There you go. That's Trigger's broom. If you're unfamiliar with Trigger's broom, Trigger is a road sweeper in a series called Only Fools and Horses. And what he would do is sweep the road with a broom, and the broom has got obviously a head and a handle, or a stick and a bristle, whatever you want to call the two bits. And he's like, I've had this broom forever. It's really good. I've replaced the handle 15 times and the head 12 times. Really reliable broom, this. Obviously, you all found that hysterically funny, which is wonderful. We all love Only Fools
I
and
think
Horses.
he's stuck in Witsit.
Well, there's that stems from I think it's Socrates, where he says, is the chair your perception of the chair, or is chair the physical object in which you ascribe the meaning of that word to it? So, you can make anything into a chair, but what is an ideal chair in your mind?
Ecorn Stressless Navigator. Obviously.
All this from getting my bow fixed. Amazing.
Anywho.
It's philosophy.
Yes, it is. The other useful bit was the Bev Earther.
I'd like to bring up something about that.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly the topic I was going to bring up.
What, my bow?
Yes,
no,
yes, your bow. Absolutely, Brian's very into it.
The bow. Trigger's broom is the best. When Paul said that, I started laughing to myself. Your bow is Trigger's broom. When you throw...
I left you a couple pictures in Master B just in case, because you're all so interested in it.
Hold me back! I'll put them on screen. So this is your... What is this? Is this the place you go shooting, or is this your home?
Nah, bow shop closed up shop here in my town, so I had to take it down to Springfield, Missouri. And that's a bow shop down there, so I helped those guys. They did a lot of work to it, but I had to make sure everything was correct.
And what are these things? These like straight horizontal things in the light background? What are they?
Straight horizontal things in the background.
Yeah. Like orangey-ish color, very long.
The ones that are going vertical, like black and orange.
Yeah, what are they?
Those are called my bowstrings and cables.
No. I mean the wood behind. Fascinating, really beautiful color. Anyway, that was really interesting. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Looks like cedar.
Cedar. Wow, nice, very nice wood.
Very nice place.
Very nice. Anyway, fascinating.
Now, how's this related to
I have something to bring up there about the guy who was bringing up elevations yesterday. I listened back to some of the show last night because I wasn't there for that. And this is a misunderstanding, right, that people have. When someone says the earth is flat, you're not making a geometric claim. You're describing the earth. It's like if someone says the earth is round. Round is a description. That's not a geometric claim either. So when you're saying the earth is flat and someone says, there's elevation changes, that means they don't understand the term flat. They don't understand that you're just describing it. If you say the earth is a horizontal plane, then technically they can say, well, there's elevation changes, so it's, because a horizontal plane is something that's geometric. Now, horizontal plane is going to be described as flat. A vertical plane, it will be described as flat. But there are no particular orientations. If you just make as a claim or as a statement, right, of fact, the earth is flat, this nonsense about, we have elevation changes, that means the person is in a category error and doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, I've said this to Ben in comments, not as an argument. I just said it to him, and he was warm towards it. He said, "Yeah, I can see your point." Because if I'm not making them, if I say the Earth is flat, right, I'm talking about the overall aspect of the Earth is flat, right? I am describing the Earth, the aspect of the Earth, right? Nobody can draw you a flat. People can draw you a circle and say that will be geometric, and you can describe it as flat. People can draw you a triangle and describe it as flat, a square, whatever. But you can only describe it as flat. My table can be described as flat. My kitchen floor can be described as flat. If you take the full of the latitude and longitude grid, and you look at the size of Mount Everest in relation to that, and I'm using Mount Everest because it's the highest point above mean sea level that I'm aware of, then it's less than half the height of a human hair. Now, there's more undulations than that on your table, yet you can't say that calling your table flat is an incorrect description. If I'm saying the Earth is round and it's obviously flat, then that's an incorrect description, or vice versa. But you can only say the description is incorrect. You can't hold someone to a geometric claim. So when people are out there doing this, I think a lot of these people that actually do follow Bev aren't listening to him. Like, if I said to Bev the Earth is flat, and he started saying, well, we have elevation changes, I can correct him and say, hang on, flat's a description. You can't hold me to a geometric standard of flat. It's only a description. If you're saying the description is wrong, then you've got to show how the description is wrong. There's no point in it. You can't say, oh, we have an elevation change. If I say that the Earth is a horizontal plane, then I'm making a geometric claim, and then someone can say, well, we have elevation changes. So you're wrong to say, specifically wrong, to say the Earth is a horizontal plane.
Yeah, like a survey would describe
just describes.
it. Like a survey would describe it if they were going to be asked about what they were doing and how they were doing it, and they were to describe the world, they would describe it as flat. Now, interestingly, Bev went up to a surveyor and did just that, asked him about what he was doing and how he was doing it, and he said, yeah, it's just flat. Now, Michael Kahn, who's in the Rumble chat currently, published that video, and Bev assumed that Michael Kahn had got it from some secret Discord stash of videos that Bev keeps that he's got access to somehow. Michael Kahn, this is. Actually, Paul, you do a show with Michael, don't you?
Yep. Flat Earth Chat and soon to be His Word is Truth on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. UK.
What's that on? Is that on Rumble?
It will be on Rumble, YouTube, and a few other places if we can manage to work it out.
Okay, so His Word is Truth, right?
7 p.m. UK.
Yep.
Way to go with that. There's no conflict there.
No. I wouldn't have thought so.
I've said the same thing to people who've conflicted with my shows constantly, as Flatsoid does. So what? Loads of choice is not a bad thing. Being able to swap and watch two different channels is not a bad thing at all. Doesn't mean he's robbing your audience. There's more than enough audience to go around. Trust me.
I'm not concerned about the audience. I just made the point.
Yeah, there's always going to be conflicts, unfortunately. It's just the way these things work out. You just have to ignore that. Or at least my attitude as a YouTuber is I can't concern myself with where other people go live or where other people publish. I've got a schedule. I'm going to keep my schedule. If you happen to start a new schedule on top of mine, it's not on my channel. It's your bag. There's only so many hours in a day.
I'm not starting schedules. I'm starting new schedules. Schedule, not schedules.
Schedule.
Number one.
Schedule.
No.
Like
No.
in a shed. You know, like in your shed.
Yeah, take them to the woodshed. So
Take them to your wood schedule.
It was a triumphant entry into the land of misfit toys.
I think so, yeah.
You would have been there, you would have known.
I think so, yeah. You can hear it. It'll come out on, I'm going to say Monday of next week on the second channel.
I searched for it yesterday, couldn't find it. Then I put a request in, and LVA Paul, the schedule guy, conflict schedule guy, he went ahead and gave it to me on Rumble. I couldn't find it on the land of
It's members only.
Thank you.
There's members only at the moment.
Oh, well, he let me have it, and I'm going through it. I'm about halfway through. I'm right when Shit's at 10 entered. The Pied Piper of the land of the misfit toys.
Well, I can say that the Piper's influence was affected by this because he had to say some really ignorant things. And I think people may have recognized that.
He said you establish a
No
plane.
way.
He said you establish a plane to the horizon. I'm like, what are you babbling about? You use the measurement of the horizon to establish a plane. But in his mind, he's drawing out a plane to the horizon arbitrarily. So in other words, when you listen back to how he's detailing it, it's pretty clear he doesn't understand how this stuff works. So I don't know if it was pre or post discussion, but I was.
You think?
Well, yeah, it's just we were trying to figure out why he would propose this, and I can't remember if it was post or pre, but either way, we speculated that he just doesn't understand the argument. Therefore, it's far easier to condemn it than to learn it, and that.
He's a pretender clown. He's a pretender clown. I heard him. I heard some of the things that he's not the whole thing. Like I said, I'm just halfway through.
Well, it'll be released as.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Wasn't everything just ended like I put in Ballbusters with a very simple query? What was that query I mentioned?
Well, I did specifically detail the type of angle that an elevation angle was during the show. So while I didn't describe the specific definition of it, I clarified it enough. I'm just making excuses. Nobody asked him what an elevation angle was or how to define it.
I don't think so either, Nathan. I'm sorry.
Get lost.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
I actually had to turn it off when I heard you talking about it. I had to turn it off. I was at the reaching my limit. I'm sorry.
Let Brian have his objection. Fine. Go ahead, Brian.
We couldn't interrupt. I'm sorry. We couldn't interrupt because every time we tried to, Nathan got muted.
Yeah, no, that's not why. They used that as an excuse.
They just stick to the elevation. Okay, forget about the politics of it. What about the elevation angle? Wasn't covered in enough detail, or is it just
the definition of it?
Is it just QE's point that nobody was asking them to define it, Brian?
Correct.
I have a little bit more than that, because when you spoke about it, look, don't take this the wrong way, right? I'm going to give you a third Sam a shot. You're brilliant when it comes to debating ballers, debating people, listening to people, hearing the things they're doing. You're like super top of the tree there. But sometimes when you're detailing things, you're not giving all the specifics. So one of the, like, little caveats, one of the things you said when it came to the elevation angle was that you said that you're not measuring a height, but you didn't specify in celestial navigation. Where for someone out there who doesn't know what you're talking about, they could look up and see elevation angle, and it's actually measuring a height, and they use trigonometry. So you didn't, for a lighthouse or for a building or whatever.
No, I totally take that on the chin. But what you're saying is you need the hyperspecificity of saying we're not trying to, in that example, establish the height of the sun with an elevation angle measurement in celestial navigation.
Well, what I would do in them circumstances is I'd start them at step one, which I'd start them at where did they first learn what 1 degree of angular change was as an Earth's distance. I start at the horizontal statute of Moyle, and that's what I start at. And I get to, so they found out that 69.04 of these horizontal statute of Moyles equated to 1 degree of angular change to Polaris. And then they just divided that by 60, which gave them a 1.150 ratio of nautical to statute of Moyles. So they needed a statute of Moyle first. And straight away, people then, because a lot of people, when you hear nautical miles, they get confused. A lot of people don't understand what a nautical mile is. So when you break it down like that, I know you didn't have a lot of time and people were trying to talk over you, but when you break it down in that way, they start listening and they start taking in. Oh, hang on. So this started with a statute of Moyle, and that's a straight line. Yeah, it's always straight. Every inch is a straight line. Every foot is a straight line. And all those feet make up 1 statute of Moyle. And all those statute of Moyles make up 69.04 horizontal straight lines. So that's where I start them.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Apocryphon, did you?
That's a bit too far.
Hold on.
No, I don't think so.
Hold on.
It could have
Hello?
ended.
Can you hear me? Apocryphon,
I can't.
Did you want to add something? Apocryphon. Apocryphon.
Oh, he's preaching again.
John, it's just hot micing, and I don't want him to get server muted because then he can't take part in the conversation. He obviously can't hear me appealing to him, so yeah, fine, server mute him. Can you hear us, Apocryphon?
My bad, Nathan.
No worries. Just don't want
I
you
was,
to not be involved in the conversation just because you're hot micing and someone's server muted you. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Brian.
no worries.
Just to, look, I'll take whatever criticism in a moment. Just let me finish my point. The point I'm making
Apocryphon,
is...
can you mute? Can you mute locally so you can unmute if you want to talk? Thank you. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the point I'm making is you're teaching people there's a horizontal distance that you're measuring. And you're teaching people the difference between a statute and a nautical mile. And then you preface that you're using an elevation angle, which is defined as a right angle triangle. The horizontal line always has to go underneath the object, whether it be the top of a building or a star or anything. But you're not using a trigonometric function. This is why I'm bringing up the statute mile thing, because you're then teaching them that you're not using a trigonometric function. You're teaching them that's the difference. With a building, you'll use a trigonometric function to determine a height of a building based off of a distance, or a distance based off of a height, blah, 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 using a right angle triangle, which would be an elevation angle. But with celestial navigation, you're specifically only dealing with a horizontal measurement. You're not using trigonometry. And that's
Right.
When did that?
Well,
I can't hear
just
anything
reiterate Brian's
Brian's
point.
saying.
Let me just before you all jump in.
Oh, brother.
Adam's been saying this as well. You've got to be hyper specific. It is the process of celestial navigation. When Brian says it's not trigonometric, no, it's celestial navigation. He's right. His critique of me is to say you didn't specifically detail. You're not getting the height of the sun in that particular debate with celestial navigation. Go ahead, QE.
That's 10 miles down the road. How can you be 10 miles down the road when no one's defined what an elevation angle is yet in the land of misfit toys? I'm way back in the beginning. Maybe this happened down the line. I didn't hear it. I'm talking about in the beginning.
Yeah, but my issue with that is that when people look up the definition of an elevation angle, one of the things they start finding out is that trigonometry, it's used that the right angle triangle that is an elevation angle, that they use trigonometry with it. And people then can't understand how you're not using a height of the celestial body, because you're not using trigonometry. That's why I start with the statute mile.
No. There is no trigger. As soon as somebody says right angle triangle, my definitions in it don't have right angle triangle, I don't think.
You want to hear a few of mine?
Go ahead.
The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle, describes how the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. What am I getting interrupted for? What's going on?
I'm just saying that's the ding, 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 ding. That's when the professor starts pounding on the damn table. The horizontal plane. Yeah, that one.
Not just it doesn't just say the horizontal plane. You cut off the end. The angle is measured between.
I know it just doesn't say that. That's the important part, though. My God.
Just try once more. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have more to add.
Oh, brother.
Well, I'll just give a couple more definitions, then you can. I'll just pick out a couple more, Brian, and then you can do it. Measurement of the elevation angle. Elevation angle. The last one was sustainable by design, by the way. This one's retardatorial, if I'm saying that right. Measurement of an elevation angle. Elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight measured in the vertical plane. The reference direction, i.e. an elevation angle of 0 degrees, is a horizontal line in the direction of the horizon. Pretty clear.
Yeah. That I'm just saying in the beginning of the discussion, no one knew that, because you got Pretender Clown shits at 10. He doesn't know what it is, and neither does anyone in the land of misfit toys. So when they started, well, you're not actually measuring, a horizon, a flat earth, then you can't do an elevation angle. You can't. not only in celestial navigation, you can't do one, period, based on the definition. I thought this was already established like 3 years ago.
Right. My caveat there now, my issues there is that in celestial navigation, you're not just using one. Well, the angle you're taking is not just one right angle triangle. That's your elevation angle. You have a second zenith angle, which is a second right angle triangle. Opposite, in the opposite way to the elevation.
How did they get the first one?
I know, leave me finish. Instead of shouting at me, leave me finish. Right? When you're using an elevation angle, whether it be in surveying or with a sextant looking at a lighthouse, whatever it is, you are using trigonometry. Right? You will be using trigonometry when you're doing something terrestrial. When you're doing something celestial, right, you won't be using trigonometry.
I understand.
Hang on. Let me get to the crescendo. They are always a right angle triangle. The right angle part will be at the GP.
And they're all colored pink too.
Everything backing it up. If the right angle part is at the GP, then and you're at the other angle at horizontal, then it's a horizontal.
Can you not annoy Brian while he's got a frog in his throat, please?
But it was a horizontal to begin with in the definition of elevation angle, just one angle. Why would that change?
Because
and there's a horizon.
Or is that chocolate?
And there's a horizon, which you wouldn't have a globe anyway.
Nathan, are you doing a stream? Oh man, are you guys doing a stream at the moment? I've just come over to try to clarify something with the room and show respect and not start any apple cart bullshit.
Number one,
just
yes, we
actually
are.
be able to talk
That's
to you
what
guys.
I do here, Space Monkey. But what did you want to clarify?
I just wanted to clarify what Stacey B said about my position, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I'm not a heliocentrist. I think over the years we've all unpacked it, and it's ridiculous on multiple levels. I have issues just with the model of a flat Earth, like say the cartoon one that we didn't seem to even design. I don't even know where it came from, that meme, but of just like this world with a dome over the top of it. So I just don't think that's what the Earth is, personally.
Neither do we.
And I have issues with that.
So do we. So do we. We stand in direct contravention of people like Dave Weiss, who punt the azimuthal equidistant projection as though it's the world that we actually stand upon. We would describe that as a reification fallacy. Furthermore, they've taken that map and put a physical sun at a physical distance above it, moving around it when they have no idea what the sun is. So I wouldn't stand by any of those claims that typical flat earthers are either strawmanned with or regurgitate from the feast of nonsense. So we would agree with you.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because we're in the public arena and if we were able to speak privately, but I just us being all human, and I know we've got to be unbiased and objective as we can be and logical. I know the way to solve this, but because we've got to remove our emotional aspect and be as honest as we can be. But I think we've all got speculation privately about what the F's going on. And I just guess when you've got an objective inquiry, that isn't always the place for speculation, I know. But I just felt in last night's setting that if we could offer, because I don't know, that's just what I'm seeing unfold, Nathan, that this flat earth truth, if you will, affects so many things for people, and you can see it's turning people's lives upside down. And I think a way to ground it is because it seems a lot of people are coming out with like a religious kind of leaning that, you know, if we're in a creation, there has to be some kind of creator. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that because it always gets religious. But that does seem to be where all this leads. So I don't know. I know it's a big thing to say, but and I know. And the last thing I'll say is, I can feel sometimes on you. There's an expectation, you know, for you. I heard Chocolate say before, all the years of the debates and all the information that's come forward hasn't been wasted. I mean, no disrespect on that level. I just personally have arrived at that point where I just realized I didn't know what the earth was. I know the parameters of it. I know what we've been told about it. But I'm still left with more question marks. And it's just been tough for me because I reached that point a couple of years ago.
Okay, well,
And so I appreciate
disappoint you.
Thank you,
Okay,
mate.
okay, Mel,
Well,
I
thanks.
might have to disappoint you, which is to say, there's going to be a lot of things that we don't have answers for, and many of our arguments that we put forth start with us prefacing that we don't know. For example, like I just gave, what the sun is to start modelling it, for example. But if you're looking for answers where you had them previously from the globe, we don't have
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Respect.
Bro,
That's great.
bro,
That's
I
totally.
Just one more thing,
share
Chocolate.
with you
Just one
that
more thing.
it's
Sorry, Chocolate. Just one more thing. But there is something we do have, and that's proof that Earth's measured flat. Go on, Chocolate.
no, that's basically what I was going to say. Is that look, I feel you, right? I understand exactly what you're saying. That you've got questions, and you're saying that for some people having those questions unanswered turns their lives upside down or something like that. I can understand that. I had to come to terms with that years ago, where I had to realize there are some things I'm just not going to have the answers to. There's going to be that mystery, and I'm okay with that, right? But at the end of the day, it's what Nathan just said. It's just measured flat. It's just a measurement. It's just the ground. It doesn't have to be religious, right? When Globers will tell me, oh, flat Earth is like a religious type of thing. But hold on. The ground that we live on, that's not religious. That's just the ground. And we're just measuring it so that we can live on it and navigate across it. That's it. So I have to become this heavy religious thing that bothers people like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you. I have the same questions, a lot of them, but I'm all right with that.
Missions
So
and
you gotta be
sometimes
careful.
What's that?
It's just the two lines connecting
know
back
that
together, Mel. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
The chocolate's discovering the mystery, or trying to discover, and is awe of the mysteries of the sun when they walk outside and look at the stars. And well, what is that exactly? Not me. I'm walking outside in preservation mode because I'm surrounded by dumbass baltards everywhere, and I have to come up with contingencies because I don't know what these morons are going to do. That's my life. I just wanted to share.
Well, someone's got to bring some sanity to the madness that is.
I think that should be you,
Right?
Mel.
No.
But I don't.
Well,
What madness are you talking about?
Arwen saved the world before. Like, maybe we need you to do it again, bro.
Could you just shut up, please, before you make
I'd
me
like
sick?
Don't worry about Arwen. I'd like to caveat that too. There's another category mixed in with the idiot baltards. It's pretender clown flat earthers. So they're a smaller percentage. I don't have to be too much concerned with them in my day-to-day activities, but it's still a factor. That's all I have. Thanks.
Are you talking about the danger they pose to you on the road?
On the road, in the grocery store, at the bow shop. Yes, I have to be on high alert. Breakfast is coming, so.
It's funny how many of these people don't use their indicators.
Yeah, I'd be lying sometimes if people don't annoy me, and I'm just like freaking Globers. They're everywhere.
It's got too high expectation for them, is all it is.
Did you not think it went well yesterday then with what you watched in the Jane Fonda server, as you call it? Are we guiding the lost dolls or whatever you call them?
That's you, QE. He's talking to you.
He just said breakfast was coming, so he stepped away.
Fair enough.
What?
The general consensus amongst us yesterday in a long discussion after the show stopped recording was that it was a successful trip. That might actually have some influence on people in the discussion and how they take their attitude towards it moving forward. QE comes along, is like, it didn't necessarily give off a vibe that he thought it was very good. Or at least that's the impression I got from him.
Well,
Yeah,
people's opinions about how well you did or didn't do in discussing aspects of how you take apart arguments is irrelevant to the understanding that many of the people there got, that they don't need to know these arguments.
Not everyone even knows what the argument is or how to unpack land surveying or
Yeah, stop projecting, Merle. You don't. We do.
so you know every aspect of the sky and the surface of Earth.
That's in the almanac.
Measured flat.
It's in the almanac.
Right. And we're not seeing new stars. It doesn't seem like new stars are coming into the fields, and we seem to be in a field and it's not
What
fluctuating
the hell
that
does
much.
that have to do with anything? Yeah,
Well,
there's no
if it's not-
unicorn spawning out of the ground either.
Why are you so aggressive with Merle? Yesterday it was Neil with the Bitsit, and today it's you with Merle. What's the deal? What's wrong?
It
I
goes
expect
way
more
back.
from somebody that's been
Just
in the
gonna ruin
arena.
the show. That's what is my
How long?
problem.
How long has he been in the arena? How
Sorry.
long?
Merle has walked away because there's no obligation for him to be here and learn anything. And now he's come back to the fold, and this is how we welcome him.
I'm not welcoming him at all. But I'll be glad to leave if you really want him.
I'm not suggesting
No,
you
it's
or he
not
do
like-
anything.
it's not that
No,
long.
I'm not suggesting
It's not
anything.
like-
I'm telling you, Nathan.
Okay, well, he got high praise earlier, didn't he, from me? For the useful aspect that he offered when
Yeah, sure he
debating.
does.
Right, well, there you go. He's just as welcome as anybody else.
Okay, well, bye then.
Man, you really hate Merle. My God, I didn't know that ran so deep. Bloody hell.
Well,
Absolutely correct, Neil.
so
Well, I mean, I don't know, because Arwen sometimes like will listen to say Beyond the Imaginary Curve, or he'll be in the chat, and sometimes he'll be voicing his views or whatever. But I think he's aware of the claim being made out there, and I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
it's
we'll
no
find
big
out
deal.
why Arwen was like that. I don't know why. He was here yesterday while you were here, right?
Yeah. I think I had.
So
I
what
had
did you
him
mean?
on-
That all
when did I
about?
mean him?
Number one,
You're
you're breaking up,
breaking up,
Neil.
Neil.
Number two, he was in the middle of a sentence.
Sorry.
No, Neil. Like, say what you want to say. Like,
Go ahead, Neil.
I can. I'm roboting.
Go ahead, Neil. Go ahead.
I asked, what did you mean by Alwyn can save the world again? Because that's what got him a little annoyed.
okay, there's a I think on one of his early birds, he opened up about an experience he had back in the day, and I'm not making fun of him. I actually think he's, really unique in this, and
Hold on.
I don't
Hold
know.
on. Up until this point, I didn't
No,
suspect for 1 second you were taking the piss out of him. Now I absolutely think you are.
no, I'm not. Because I've always seen Arwen, although he's very objective and he has that empiricism, he also has that air of, I'm not taking the piss out of him. Some people have an air, it's like an archetype. He has that kind of elfin, magical kind of thing. He's got the crossbow. He has that air. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nice. I like that about him. I embrace it. I'm not laughing at it.
Are you calling
think we're
Arwen an
all-
elf?
No, if you want to
That's
take it
kind of
in,
how I see him. But I don't see him as less than me. If anything, I think he has a really interesting perception. Like everyone does. Listen,
Like, bro, we
we're
was
the
calling
ones.
him Legolas like years ago, bro. Like, that's not even. It's Arwen.
And he's one of the Earth detectives, right? Like he's been on this just as hard as, I don't know how many early birds he's done, but dude's committed. I mean, I don't know. I know he's an intelligent person, but maybe that's the disconnect, that some people think that I'm an idiot and I don't have anything to say. And for whatever reason, I get that impression. I've got to work on that, obviously. But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up, Nathan. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to get that clarity that I haven't gone back to the ball. I don't know how I can even do that. There's no ball to get back on.
Well,
So
I'm sort of kind
cheers.
of relieved to hear that, because when I did hear that you went back to the ball, I was just like, wait a minute, bro's been in this so long. How the hell could you? What the hell ball did you go back? Where? What ball? What globe? What? Like, how do you go back to something that never existed in the first place? I never understood that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that makes that clears that up. Thanks.
Why would Stacey
no
say
worries.
that?
Good question. Maybe I've given that. Maybe because I was questioning it, she maybe thought that I was against flat Earth and flat Earthers. I was just frustrated with some of the proposals, and I guess the ballers kept asking for a map, and you know how it goes. I've been in GEMS for years, and they just they have their perspective. It's very tight. They're always claiming that heliocentrism is the way it is. So
See, but
it's
that's
like
the
they're
problem.
living a
You're in
belief.
gems.
Yeah. I know, but it's like watching people go through their own delusions and not snap out of it, whereas we have all had a moment of clarity somehow and snapped out of that hypnosis. And I don't know what that mechanism is. Why some people wake up and it clicks, they reassess their reality, put the pieces together, and have a semblance of logic and reason at the end of it.
There's the problem. Because the path that led you and I here was a path of having to put puzzle pieces together.
I just mentioned that before with John. It's that fork in the road, right? John he heard the black swan, realized that there was no measurement of curvature, and said, "Okay, that's done then." It's obviously not that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
then
like
the other
now what?
guys just go the other way. Like, no, it's definitely there. I didn't claim it. It was there, but it's there. It's just so big, you can't see it, can't measure it. They go that way. Who knows what that mechanism is that makes people make that decision?
But when you're making apologetics for why you can't see something or measure something, you're no longer dealing with the physical world. You know what I mean? Like, it is a very, very weird position to take if you want to believe you live in a physical, natural world.
Yeah. And up until now, our starting point was to start by undoing that position of apologetics. And the apologetics were only being made because they had a flat earth in the first instance that they were measuring. So we've had to go 2 steps along there, begging the question fallacy, into their apologetics for why it isn't a globe, and then argue against that to wake people up. Like I say, those are the puzzle pieces that we had to put together. And as I said on the live show yesterday, most of the time in my journey, I didn't know it was flat.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right.
So you're exploring it as you go and just trying to be neutral.
Just going through it with an open mind, man. I'm only here because I got an open.
No, Mel, you're misunderstanding. Nathan's saying he didn't always know it was flat. Now we got that silver bullet. Now there's a knowing attitude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's 2 different positions.
2 different positions.
Right. You can take the position of, well, you don't know that when someone makes a claim, or you know something, right? And they know it too. That it's not a secret. Earth is measured flat.
That aspect of they know it too is going to always have the example of that neurologist. Well, it's so big it's flat. I know others have used it, but it's only with us in that vein of thought since he came in and said, all right, well, I'm measuring it flat and I know it's flat. We treat it as flat, but that's because it's so very big that we can treat it as flat. So therefore, we can all agree that there's an agreement to be sought from our globe-believing counterparts if we end up in debate with them. But we don't have to juxtapose their argument and their apologetics for how they will measure it flat. We can just highlight the agreement that we're both measuring it flat and go from there as a starting point. Not you're not open-minded enough, you haven't learned enough about the globe and now it don't work. That's how we got here. Sod that.
Yeah, 2024
didn't that guy even say, well, of course they measure it flat?
Yeah, he did.
I could have sworn he did.
So that's how we should start out, right? Seek that agreement first. What were you saying, John?
I said 2024 should be the year of Genesis then.
Yeah, I like that when you said it the end of last year. Absolutely. This is Flat Earth Genesis now. Their Genesis, our Genesis, everybody's Genesis is measuring a flat Earth.
It's interesting too because so much of it was in a way about not making a positive claim or, like a sort of avoid it and try to hold them accountable. But I like it that you're making a positive, definite claim.
Careful. Not a claim. Statement of fact. I'm not claiming
statement of fact
that it's that we could measure Earth flat. Future tense.
Yeah.
Earth is measured flat. It's a statement of fact. It's not contentious. It's not up for debate. It's a statement of fact. Now, if someone challenges that fact because they've got a fundamentalist globe belief, my attitude is fine. You'll have to understand the arguments to overcome that if you're trying to convert zealots. But in so doing, the way to do it, once you've sought their agreement, or if you haven't, seek their agreement with how they will also measure it flat because they absolutely will.
So you say the Earth's measured flat. I say, no, it's not. What can you say to sway me?
You say, no, it's not.
No, I'm just trying to give an example of them putting up, so you say the Earth's measured flat, and if they don't agree straight away, how could you bring them to that point where it's easy to get them to agree?
Give them an example of it being measured flat.
But they will.
Hold on, too many people answering him. He wants a clear, concise answer, not 3 people. Chocolate first.
No, I was just going to say by using facts, the fact that it is being measured flat. Currently, right now, somebody out there right now is using celestial navigation and measuring the Earth flat to navigate across it. Right? That's a fact.
Or rise
You
over run.
can't
Someone else used that yesterday.
argue with that.
Someone else used a different example that we don't typically lean on. Rise over run. Now, yeah, we've discussed it. We understand it, as did the person who used that as their example. I don't care which flat Earth proving measurement foot you put forward first. That was a lot of Fs. It doesn't matter. Just that should be your starting point. It's measured flat. Well, what if they say it isn't? Tell them how it's measured flat. Rise over run, celestial navigation, establishing the Earth as a horizontal plane of reference for orbital mechanics isn't where you should start, because you could then juxtaposing it with how they will claim you've got an orbital motion for you to fantasize about in the discussion. Just saying we measure it flat in terms of the grid system on the maps. They're developed from a flat Earth measurement of an angle. It's being measured flat and navigated and charted flat. The grid system's measured off a flat plane. There's loads of examples you can give them where Earth's measured flat. Just give them one. And if they disagree with that, no, it isn't an elevation angle measurement of a flat plane to give you the grid system when measuring Polaris. Is it not? Well, you tell me how you measure Polaris. And you'll find that what they actually do, like Bob on screen now, for my audience, he'll tell you how it's measured flat. He's got on screen the Alberuni height measurement of the mountain. So he's telling his audience as a globe-believing Muppet how Earth's measured flat. That's what he's doing on this screenshot. They all know it's measured flat because they measure it flat. That's the point. Here's another example of someone else, a globe-believing Muppet, drawing out Alberuni's height measurement off a flat plane. Now they, when they did it, chuckled and went, my audience will think the Earth's measured flat or something. Yeah, you are measuring it flat very specifically when you example Alberuni's measurement of a flat Earth, because that's what he's doing.
Did you say that?
So that's what I said. There's not going to be a contention. They are going to agree. Earth is measured flat.
Because if you follow that through to its natural conclusion, you're basically arguing a fact then at the end of the day.
Oh, you're getting it. You're getting there quickly, Merle. You're sharp.
Exactly. That's why the first thing I said is you give them facts. How are they going to argue facts? Once somebody starts arguing, once somebody starts arguing facts, now you're dealing with a whole different animal. Now you're dealing with somebody who's into delusions, and you know what I mean? Like, you might have to leave that alone at some point. But if you've got them to agree to what is just factual, then I mean that's that. And listen, there are going to be some people that you're not going to be able to convince or show, or just not going to listen to you. And what you do is you don't waste your time.
those people make great examples for other people listening. So when they want to
do.
How do you describe orbits, right? You talk about the change in elevations from this flat plane that we observe through the nightly sky. Is that what you're describing? Yeah, that's when you take them to their necessity for a flat plane, because they need it more than we do.
Yeah, it clicked then, what you guys are doing. I like it.
Yeah, I head up to the gas station all the time, and I argue with people at the gas station about you're actually using that nozzle to put gas in your car? Really? Can you explain that? I do it constantly, everything. You're sewing? Unbelievable. Prove the needle in the thread. And retards. Oh. I didn't finish, the land of misfit toys yesterday. How did it all end? Did it end in kumbayas and all you rubbing your feet together?
Nathan was trying to.
It did seem to, from what I understood of after it happened. I missed most of it. I couldn't stick around.
but he sarcastically gave Whitson all the credit. That I loved when you said that, Nathan. That was a nice dig.
Yeah, when he got Whitsitt to take his position and then act like it was always his position.
Yeah, he said he gave all the credit to Whitsitt. That was a boy, man. Nathan Sharp. He knows how to turn that.
The actual show
Right.
yesterday for entertainment value was off the charts because I couldn't stop smiling. I felt like it was a group of guys that always stay at one bar in a neighborhood, and then Huey's like the dude that comes in and says, "Hey, you won't believe what they're saying over at this other pub." And before Nathan even knew it, he's like over at the other pub, you know, and there's about to be a throwdown, but it ended up to be pretty pleasant. But it was just hilarious, but very entertaining.
Yeah, the general let us in and left.
I didn't know that he was going over there, dudes. I just made the
He didn't.
suggestion. In fact, I got a lot of blowback from it. So listen, I was in the early show for the first time in what, over a year or something. That should have given the game away that something was afoot there, Neil.
Yes, you're right.
So I already planned this like 2.5 weeks beforehand. That day, I knew when those limbs were going to come in from New York. Right? So a lot of things, a lot of factors, a lot of what have yous were happening to make that day, and I had to go. You're in capable hands, as far as you know.
Yeah, I know. Would have been nice if you were there, though. Next time.
In the land of misfit toys, do you think it would have been nice if I was there?
Obviously not, John. It would have been
No, I would have
lot of
loved John to be there.
No, no, you would.
I know you would have.
No,
yeah,
you
at
wouldn't
least
have.
I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been the only one getting yelled at and told to shut up. I'm going to remove you.
Oh, they would. If I was there and what happened, then there would have been Nathan would have got banned. Is that positive for you?
He said one time, "You ain't gonna pull this crap here like you do on your show. You better effing believe it." He's soaking wet 30 pounds.
It was in there.
It's all hyperbole, folks. Hyperbole. I'm sorry, Chocolate. Chocolate, you got to turn that mic up.
Yeah, you're a little low, Chalk.
I need new headphones. Sorry.
What? We need to do a GoFundMe for some new headphones? I can't even hear you. I did hear you try to get into the discussion yesterday because you were in the beginning too. I'm at the more or less the beginning of it, and you were low then. Who's that voice I hear? Is that Chocolate? Oh, what's up, brah? How's it going, brah?
Oh, shoot. Q, doesn't miss anything.
You're hilarious.
And I still couldn't hear you. I was wondering how are they hearing him? I miss you. How is it over here in the land of misfit toys?
And then Winston said one time, "That's why you don't leave your echo chamber." Nathan's like, "I left. I'm here." He's a dumbass.
Oh yeah, he's a stone cold retard. Oh yeah, I've been trying. Are you surprised that you caught all the double speaking? Oh no! Oh, what a shocker! Shit that 10's double speaking. Right? Everyone, or everyone's Jedi mind trick. Wait a second. He said he didn't say that. So maybe he didn't say that. Maybe I ought to not believe my lying ears. Meanwhile, I just said it 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, we caught him yesterday. He tried to pull that crap.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, how Nathan had gotten him to take Nathan's original position, and Nathan turned it on him by saying, well, that's exactly right. That's a good idea.
Is that towards the end? Because the beginning's not working out
Yes.
very well. All right.
Yes.
Fair enough. And then when somebody asked him to define what dip correction was, and you could hear it in his voice, right to the point where he started to make shit up. Right? I couldn't believe it. I said, watch him back this up. Sorry, no swearing. Nathan still here, by the way? Yeah, he is.
I am. I just got kids in the background making loads of noise.
And he did mess it up.
Did you pull that part out? Because I'm going to go through the whole thing. And then you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do. Start from the beginning. And then I'm going to listen to every single frigging word. And it's already over. I was snickering to myself. I belly laughed a couple times, especially when he was asked. I don't know whether Nathan did it or somebody did. What is dip correction? And and then I don't know. I think one of the people prompted him into starting off correctly, and then right at the end, you could tell he made it up and it was wrong.
First he said, "What? Excuse me."
Yeah. He got it wrong. Are you asking me what? Excuse me? What?
Yeah, that was me. I was like, are you unaware of dip correction? Because he's telling me that the horizon isn't usable.
Now, the dip correction was the correction made from the eye to the horizon. I'm sitting there. You're done. I need to go back and listen to it again because there was so much. Everyone's talking. All the misfit toys got their panties in a bunch.
Was it a worthy endeavor, do you feel? I was trying to ask you earlier, but you went to get breakfast.
What did you expect?
I'm sorry, Chocolate. Was that you talking, Chocolate? I started talking. I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
What did you? Can you hear me? Like that?
Very quiet.
Barely.
He's whispering on the job, probably.
Is it really that bad? Yeah. All right, forget it.
If it wasn't a worthy endeavor, would QE be listening to it?
Hold on. Were you there when David Rakia came in and Montreal, SC Montreal? Oh, where do you hear that? There was a downward bias.
No, I ain't got that far yet. But Nathan has a good question. So do you need more explanation? I feel it's honorable that you did it.
I just want to know about the horizon.
Honorable. It's one way to describe me. Sorry, Bookfin. My bad.
No, I'm sorry.
I think it was
I missed something else they said there.
I still didn't hear
that I wanted to.
I need to shut my kids up. Hold on a second. Just repeat it because I didn't hear it.
Yep.
Oh, Boricua.
Yo, what's up, Chocolate?
What? No, that ain't Chocolate. That's Elijah.
Was that Elijah?
My Jedi mind tricked him.
Yo. I was like, it sounded like Chocolate to me.
Well, he came in so loud, he could have been mistaken for Elijah.
Elijah's more aggressive than Chocolate. That's how I tell the difference.
Yeah.
Eli likes to portray himself as being very laid back, but Chocolate actually is laid back.
And Chocolate says Boricua correctly. Sounds Hispanic when he says it. But you are Haitian, though, right?
You were a star in the land of misfits too there, Buck FN. Yeah, you like to allow people to go off on monologues with premises that are all screwed up like points or lines. No, let him talk. That's his whole base premise. Let's listen to 5 more minutes of this shit. That was a good one.
Well,
You did a good
Well,
job.
those are the rules of the servers, though.
You
Those are
did
the
a
rules
good
of the
job.
servers.
Ignore him. You did a great job.
No, the only thing
understand.
was you let Witsit monologue and you stop Nathan. That's what bothered me a little bit. Because
I
that's
listened
all
back.
Witsit does is monologue.
No, I listened back, and you were actually very even-handed and fair. It might not be reasonable to me to let Witsit monologue about a point, giving him a line when he's saying what people would object to, giving him a reasonable justification for juxtaposing globe Earth rhetoric with our rhetoric where we measure Earth flat. However, in the server, people are allowed to have their say, regardless if it's nonsense, then you get to refute it. You did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I wanted to know what's the horizon over the observer's eyes. That's what they said there. I'm like, never seen that before.
Brian and I tried to address it after, because whenever we did try to address it, we were just getting Nathan muted. It seemed like Nathan was making the audio chaos, and he was, because it was coming through his line. But Brian, if you're there, do you want to take this, or I will?
What's the question, John?
Oh, about the water appearing to be above the horizon with the theodolite measurements.
Oh yeah, that would be that'd be about the topography underneath the water. It's because it depends on where you're using a theodolite from, or where you're viewing from. If the topography underneath the water is let's say ramps up, and the water is if there's an incoming tide, then you will have a situation where the horizon can appear higher. But it's only due to the topography underneath the water. Years ago, Wolfie and them used to keep on getting observations from places like Hawaii and Western Australia and that, because even though they don't have a lot of tide movement there, what they have in Western Australia is a big drop off, a deep drop off close to the shore.
Yeah,
so
they don't have any. You don't have a continental shelf like California. If you go to Hawaii or okay.
Yeah. So as the tide comes in, it hits it and comes up. And what happens? It can make it look like it's blocking a boat in the distance, and that's what they used to do. So a boat to be in the distance, the tide will come in, hit this wall like a cliff, come up over the cliff, right? And when you're taking your photograph, whatever, it makes it look like the ship is over the horizon, when that's not even the horizon. It's just what they call tsunami wave shoaling.
Yeah, shoaling.
It happens
Yeah, Ranty
everywhere.
covered this. I asked them specifically.
Ranty, yeah.
The two that were presenting it, there was Rakir and one other guy who I forget, it might have been, I don't know who it was. Anyway,
I think it was
I said,
Jeremy.
are we detailing a topographical horizon? Now, although slightly convoluted, they did explain that this had come from the ballers' side, like Jesse Kozlowski and George Netanyuk and a couple of others.
Brother.
And as soon as I said that, I'm like, all right, okay, this is going to need heavy scrutiny, and it'll have absolutely no historic data whatsoever to back any of it. And that's what I asked for. But my first question was, are we talking about an actual horizon where the land appears to meet the sky into the distance, or are we talking about a topographical horizon? Now, it might be, because he did say, oh, no, water, always water. You're like, oh, okay, fine. So in my mind, I'm like, well, this makes no sense. Fine, I'll have a look at this, which is what I asked him. But now you've qualified it. You're talking about shoaling. So it becomes a topographical horizon. It's like an actual physical hill getting in the way. There might be water on top of it, but it's like saying 1 second, Clover. It's like saying a wave forms the horizon. It's like, well, yeah, but that's a wave.
Yeah, and there's something else that can happen that can give the same effect. It's when there's an outgoing river meeting an incoming tide, you will then have a welling up of water. And the ballers for years were looking for places that would have any of these effects. And Ranty, in fairness to him, give him his dues, in 2016 he pulled them apart. He went and he investigated what these things were, and they're a known phenomenon. They're not Earth curve or whatever. And that was like 7-8 years ago. I can't believe people.
And looking back on it now, it's so telling, because what did they have to do? They had to Texas sharpshooter fallacy their way through all of their claims, offer very, very sparse evidence, and they had to go out to specific locations at specific times to try and affirm their bias. if they don't know they're being charlatans,
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? That you could actually take that as evidence for what you're looking for.
yeah, but they did it all the time. The worst case was Miles Davis when he had a picture of
That's
all
what
of his
I thought
equipment.
of. That's what I thought of when you said that.
What did you say?
I said that when you said that about people searching for stuff. I thought of Miles Davis with his little bridge.
Yeah, he's got all this equipment set up, and he's taking a picture. And as far as we were concerned, we were going to get like 4 different views, and we ended up with like a bloody iPhone picture. And that was it. One picture. Look, is Earth curve proven? Slam dunk. No historic data, no heights, no nothing. 0. One crappy picture. Cherry picked, obviously.
Ask him for pedigree information rather than historic data.
Pedigree information. Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Who,
I remember.
what, or how?
Sorry.
Just reminds me of dog food, that's all.
Said who, what, when, where, why, how.
Pedigree makes me think of pedigree chum.
Whatever that is.
You're right, it is the right term.
But why would flat earthers be bringing that up anyway? I was lost on that.
Bringing
what was
what
the
up?
point?
Because they don't obviously never learned it, even though they listened to Ranty and everything. I'd say years ago, like Ranty went through these types of effects and why they're caused. I mean, Ranty was there. Ranty, if it was, I remember the ballers, and Nathan, you remember it too, and anyone else was around back then will remember that they were trying to claim inferior mirage was our curve until Ranty went out with the P900 and showed that it was just inferior mirage. They had to concede it wasn't our curve.
I think what it was is the reason they brought it up was they thought that Nathan was making a positive claim about the use of the horizon, and they could debunk that positive claim. It's not a positive claim. That's just what it's used for.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Claims, yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do? Debunk a tape measure next?
But that's what Rakia tried to do. So
But that's what they were doing.
Rakia life, bless him, it's like coming halfway through the conversation and like essentially his point is there's better ways of establishing horizontal than a mariner's sextant. And then he's like, if I was on land, it's like, well, we're arguing about people at sea trying to find their way when lost when he comes into the conversation. But after a certain degree of bracing against the argument that says the horizon essentially is what he's saying isn't good enough, it's not accurate enough. But then he goes on to say when you're out at sea, the very best tool you can utilize to get your horizontal is the horizon. It's like, yeah, but you've started this off by bracing against the horizon as being a good useful tool for establishing horizontal, presumably because he's a Bev Earther.
Rakia, what the hell happened to you?
That's my question.
I haven't gotten to that part yet, but
Bev happened. There you go.
Bev happened.
Yeah, when I went in there that time, this is about 3 years ago, it was Essie Montreal, David Rakia, Bevan, whoever else was in there. I thought I was going into friendly territory